Good afternoon to all. I welcome the participants to join the session on strategic management. Today we will discuss in detail about the strategy in global context. As you know, strategy in the global context, it requires a thorough understanding of the external environment that includes the economic, political, cultural, technological factors that could impact an organization's operations as a macro environmental factor. Organizations must also understand their internal strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, as known as the SWOT analysis, to develop effective strategies that align with the goal of the organization. A global strategy involves developing a standardized approach to the business activities that can be applied across the different countries having different culture while also adapting the local market conditions. Organizations that operate globally, the multinational companies, must consider the differences in legal and regulatory environments, the cultural norms and practices that is followed, that is country specific, and consumer preferences when developing their strategies. The global strategy that requires collaboration across the different regions and functions within an organization in order to achieve a shared vision and the common goals. The use of technology and data analytics is crucial in developing and executing the global strategies, as it can help organizations to identify the new opportunities available in the marketplace, monitor the changes in the external environment, and make the informed decisions accordingly. The companies that are successful in developing as well as executing the global strategies must be agile and able to adapt quickly to the changes in the external environment. They must also be committed to the continuous process of improvement as well as innovation in order to stay ahead of the competition. One of the key challenges in the developing and global strategy is balancing the need for the global standardization with the local adoption. This involves identifying which aspects of the business need to be standardized global basis or global level and which can be adapted to the local market conditions and situations. Another challenge is managing the cultural differences that exist across the different regions and different countries. This requires the sensitivity to the cultural norms as well as the practices and the ability to communicate effectively across the different languages and cultures that exist in different countries. In addition, the global strategy must also take into account the competitive landscape in different regions, including both the local and international competitors. The companies must also develop strategies that allow them to compete effectively in the marketplace, while also they can leverage their global strengths. A global strategy must also consider the impact of the political and economic factors on the organization's operations. This includes the factors such as the tariffs, the trade agreements as per the WTO guidelines, World Trade Organization, and regulatory requirements which can vary significantly across the different countries as well as different regions. Finally, developing and executing a successful global strategy that requires strong leadership and a clear vision for the organization's future. Leaders must be able to inspire and motivate their teams to work together towards a common goal while also being able to adapt to the changes that is taking place and continuously changing in the external environment of the organization. Introduction to the strategy in global context is a critical concept that refers to the development and execution of the long-term plans to achieve an organization's goals in a rapidly changing global environment. Developing and executing a successful global strategy requires a deep understanding of the external and internal environment, a standardized approach that can be adapted to the local market conditions, the situations, the collaboration across different regions and different functions, the use of technology as well as the data analytics, and a commitment to the continuous improvement process, and also to have innovation through innovative ideas. In conclusion, developing and executing a successful global strategy is a complex as well as a challenging process that requires a thorough understanding of the external and internal environment, the ability to balance the global standardization with local adoption, the sensitivity to the cultural differences, and strong leadership. Companies that are able to overcome these challenges and develop an effective global strategy can achieve significant growth and competitive advantage by encasing their strength areas in the global marketplace. You see about the need for internationalization. Internationalization of strategy is becoming increasingly important in today's global economy. Here are some of the key points on why it is so significant. The access to the new markets is by internationalization of the strategy provides business with the access to new markets, which can lead to the increased sales, the profits, and the growth opportunities. By expanding into new markets, businesses can tap new customers, segments, and thereby can increase their consumer base or the market base, reduce their dependence on the domestic marketplace, and mitigate the risks associated with the economic fluctuations in a single country. With respect to competitive advantage, if you see, internationalization of the strategy can help business to gain a competitive advantage by offering unique products, associated services, or experiences that differentiate them from their competitors. By following the differentiation strategy, internationalization also allows the businesses to take advantage of the economies of scale and thereby reduce the cost as well as increase the level of efficiency of functioning. With respect to diversification, if you see, internationalization of strategy helps the businesses to diversify their products, product lines as well as the business operations, which can help them to reduce the risks that is associated with the dependence on a single product, service, or market. This can help the businesses to improve their resilience and adaptability in the face of economic uncertainty that arises and the changes in the consumer demand pattern. Access to talent and the resources with respect to internationalization of strategy provides businesses with an access to a wider pool of talents as well as resources. This can help businesses to improve their innovation as well as the competitiveness by bringing in new perspectives, new ideas, as well as innovative skills. To see about the learning opportunities, the internationalization of strategy provides businesses with learning opportunities about the different cultures, businesses practices, and the regulatory environment that is prevailing and that differs from one country to the other. This can help the businesses to develop a moral global mindset more as well as improve their cross-cultural communication skills and adapt their operations to the in context to the local situation and local conditions. Maximizing the growth potential by internationalization of the strategy that allows the businesses to maximize their growth potential by tapping into the emerging markets across the globe with high growth rates. These markets often have low competition, high level of demand of the product and services, and lower cost of doing business, making them attractive targets for the future expansion and growth. Hedging against the risk. If you see, internationalization of the strategy can help businesses to hedge against the risks such as the political instability, the natural disasters, or the economic downturns by diversifying their operations across the multiple markets. Businesses can reduce their exposure to these risks by minimizing their impact on the overall performance of the business. Enhancing the brand reputation. Internationalization of the strategy can help the businesses to enhance their brand reputation, brand image by establishing a presence in different markets in different countries. This can help the business to increase the brand awareness, improve the image of the corporate, as well as by building a stronger relationships with the consumers. Access to the new technologies, internationalization of strategy provides the business with an access to the new technologies and innovations that may not be available in their home marketplace. This can help the businesses to improve their products, services, as well as the operations, and stay ahead of the competition. If you see with respect to regulatory compliance, internationalization of the strategy requires the business to comply with the different regulations and regulatory parameters that exist in each and every marketplace different across different countries. This can help the businesses to improve their compliance and risk management practices and ensure that they are operating ethically, morally, and with responsibility. Internationalization of strategy is critical for business looking to compete in today's globalized economy. It can help businesses to achieve the growth, to diversify their business operations either in the related or unrelated product diversification, reduce the level of risk, and thereby gaining the competitive advantage, utilizing, engaging their strength areas. In conclusion, the internationalization of the strategy is a critical step for businesses looking to expand their operations and diversify their risk, gain a competitive advantage, and maximize their growth potential. By embracing a global mindset and adapting to the local conditions, the businesses can succeed in the increasingly interconnected and competitive global economy. If you see the global business environment, it refers to various external factors that affect the operations of the businesses in the global marketplace. Here are some of the points mentioned on the global business environment. First one is the economic factors. The global economy is continuously and constantly changing, and businesses must adapt to the economic trends as well as the fluctuations in order to remain competitive. With respect to the political factors, the government policies, government regulations, and the political stability can significantly impact the businesses that is operating across different countries of the world. If you see with respect to the regulatory measures or the legal factors, the businesses operating across the globe must comply with the different legal systems and the legal regulations that exist in different countries. If you see the technological factors, then advances in the technology that have transformed the way the business operate and interact with the customer, with the suppliers, the vendors supplying the raw materials, and the other stakeholders like the finances, the insurance companies, etc. Though it can be connected with the help of the development of the ICT, information and communication technology, to gain efficiency. With respect to the cultural factors, see the understanding of the cultural differences that exist and that varies from country to country is very essential for the businesses operating in different countries, as the cultural norms, the cultural practices, and the values that can impact the consumer behavior, the marketing strategies, and also the business practices. That is very much inevitable component of the multinational corporates. If you see the environmental factors, the climate change and the sustainability are gaining increasingly importance, and also the considerations for the businesses that is operating across the globe, as the consumers as well as the governments, they demand more environmentally friendly practices, processes by manufacturing products and services for the marketplace and for the target segment of consumers for whom they have designed and developed. With respect to the competition, globalization has led to the increased competition, and the competition is increasing day by day with the entry of new market players competing globally, and hence the businesses must be able to compete effectively in the global marketplace. If you see with respect to the supply chain management, that is the concept starting from the point of production to the point of consumption, all the stages of movement of the product. Globally, the supply chains are very complex and it requires a careful management in order to ensure the interruptions and for providing the goods and services which can deliver on time and also at a competitive cost. With respect to the exchange rates that prevails with the foreign currency, that this fluctuation takes place. Businesses operating globally must be able to manage the exchange rate risks that is involved and also the continuous change or the fluctuations in order to remain profitable. The emerging markets, that is developing countries, offer the new opportunities for the businesses to expand their business operations and also to tap new marketplaces to increase their customer base as well as the market base. But also the present challenges with respect to the infrastructure facilities and also with respect to the political instability that happens from time to time. With respect to the trade agreements, the trade agreements between the countries can impact the business by reducing or by increasing the barriers to the trade. The trade barriers can be created either the entry barriers or exit barriers. The trade barriers created by engaging their strength areas may be strength of financially, strength of technology, strength of expertise manpower that exist with the existing market players will help to leverage the same to the best advantage and also to compete in the marketplace, win the mind of the target consumers. The affecting tariff and regulations and shaping the global competitive landscape. With the trade agreements that is as per the WTO guidelines, World Trade Organization guidelines for the member nations, those who are the members under the WTO. With respect to the labor markets, the businesses operating in the different countries must navigate the different labor laws, the different regulatory parameters, and different cultural expectations around employment as well as the workforce management. With respect to the intellectual property right, protecting the intellectual property is crucial for businesses those are operating globally, as the laws and regulations around the intellectual property can vary widely from country to country. With respect to the ethics and the social responsibility, the businesses must consider the ethical aspects of conducting business. Also, they should consider about the social responsibility issues when they are operating in many countries simultaneously across the globe, such as the environmental impact, the labor practices that is prevailing in the country as per the labor laws, and also the community involvement. With respect to the technology disruptions, the new technologies and the disruptive innovations can transform the industries and thereby create the new opportunities, but also they pose threats to the established business from the external environment. With respect to the risk management, if you see, the global businesses must be able to identify as well as manage the risks, including the risks of political instability, the natural disaster, and the calamities that happens, the cyber threats, which is going rampant nowadays, and also with respect to the supply chain disruptions. If you see about the innovation and the research and development, investing in the research and development as well as fostering the innovation through creative ideas and valuable feedback and suggestion from the stakeholders is very much essential for the businesses to remain competitive and also adapt to the changes that is happening in the global level business environment. If you see the international financial markets, the global financial system can impact the businesses by influencing the various factors through various factors like the interest rates, which varies from country to country, the exchange rates, which changes from time to time, the home country with the other foreign currency, and the access to the capital needed for the business as well as the credit facility. With respect to the international regulations, the international organizations such as the World Trade Organization, the International Monetary Fund, as well as the United Nations Organization can impact the businesses through creation as well as enforcement of the international regulations and the international standards. If you see with respect to the digital transformation, the increasing use of the digital technology due to the revolution of the ICT, the information and communication technology, and the rise of the e-commerce are transforming the global business environment and thereby creating new opportunities as well as the challenges for the business operating at the global level across many countries. If you see the environmental analysis in the global context, the environmental analysis is an essential tool for understanding the impact of the global changes on the natural environment. It helps in identifying the causes that affect the environment and also assess the risks and opportunities and thereby develop appropriate strategies how to mitigate, how to manage the negative impacts from time to time. Here are some of the points on the environmental analysis in a global context. With respect to climate change, the impact of climate change is a critical factor in the environmental analysis. The increase in the greenhouse gas emissions, the rising temperatures, and the changing weather patterns have severe impacts on the environment, including the rising sea levels, the increasing frequency as well as intensity of the natural disasters like drought, flood, cyclone, etc. And also the loss of biodiversity. The natural resources depletion, like the depletion of the natural resources, including the water table, water level, and also affecting the air, the quality of the soil is another critical factor in the environmental analysis. The exploitation of the natural resources by the manufacturing industries, the activities of deforestation for using the forest land for other purposes, residential, commercial, and industrial purpose, and the pollution that have led to the significant environmental degradation. With respect to the biodiversity losses, if you consider the loss of biodiversity is due to the habitat destruction, climate changes, and pollution is a significant concern. Pollution with respect to the air pollution, the soil pollution, the water pollution, the noise pollution, is all type of pollution is a concern in the global context. The biodiversity loss has far-reaching consequences with respect to the environment, including the loss of the ecosystem services, the food security, as well as the human health. With respect to the sustainable development, if you see the concept of sustainable development is an essential aspect of the environmental analysis in a global context. Sustainable development aims to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. In environmental regulations, if you see the regulations, the policies, the laws that play a critical role in protecting and preventing the environment. See, the governments as well as the international organizations have a responsibility to regulate the industries and promote sustainable practices in order to ensure the protection of the environment. If you see the economic impacts, environmental changes can have significant economic impacts, such as by way of reduced crop yields, increase healthcare cost, and damage to the infrastructure that is happening in a continuous basis. Economic analysis can help to assess the cost as well as the benefits of the environmental policies and thereby identify the opportunities that exist in the marketplace for sustainable economic growth. Public awareness and education can play a critical role in the environmental analysis. Educating the public about the importance of the environmental protection can lead to the increased public support for the policies and the practices that promote sustainability. The institutional framework, those have been created with the responsibility of preventing, creating awareness, and also through by regulatory measures, both at the state level, national level, as well as the international level, have got a major role to play. Sustainable consumption and production. With respect to this, the sustainable consumption and production patterns are essential for the environmental sustainability. It involves reducing the wastage that is taking place, using the resources efficiently, and minimizing the negative impacts of the production as well as the consumption on the environment. With respect to the natural disasters, the natural disaster or the calamities that is happening across the world from time to time, such as the hurricanes, the floods, then drought, the cyclones, the wildfires can have devastating impacts on the environment, including the loss of life, loss of habitat, loss of property, soil erosion, and pollution. Environmental analysis can help to identify the areas of risk and to develop accordingly the strategies how to mitigate the impacts of the natural disasters. With respect to the corporate social responsibility, which is an essential aspect of the environmental analysis. The companies have a responsibility to minimize their environmental impact, and also to promote sustainability, sustainable practices, and contribute to the development of the environmentally friendly technologies and practices. If you see this CSR nowadays, like your auditing takes place in accounts and quality, similarly, the quality social audit is also being done to assess and know what is the corporate's contribution towards the society or community at large. What percentage of profitability they are contributing towards the society at large. And with respect to the environmental justice, the environmental justice is an important consideration in the environmental analysis. It involves to ensure that all the individuals and communities have equal access to the environmental resources, and the benefits and burdens of the environmental policies are distributed fairly. With respect to policy implementation and evaluation, effective policy implementation and evaluation are very critical for the environmental analysis, monitoring, and evaluation, which can help to identify the areas of success as well as the areas for need for improvement, leading to the development of more effective environmental policies. In overall, the environmental analysis is a complex and multidisciplinary field that requires the collaboration between the various stakeholders, including the government, organizations, and individuals. By understanding the factors that affect the environment and developing the strategies to mitigate the negative impacts, we can work towards a more sustainable future for our planet. Environmental analysis is the process of examining the various environmental factors that affect the business or the organization. In a global context, this analysis becomes even more complex as there are numerous environmental factors that can influence a business organization's operations. The factors that we have already discussed is the political factors, the economic factors, as well as the social factors, the technological factors, and the environmental factors, the legal factors, as well as the competitive factors, which we have already discussed. Then with respect to the supply chain factors, the supply chain factors such as transportation, logistics, and sourcing can affect the business operations in a global context. The business must consider the availability and reliability of the suppliers, the efficiency of transportation and logistics, and the cost of sourcing the materials and goods from different countries. With respect to the health and safety factors, such as the disease outbreaks, pandemics, workplace safety can affect a business operations. In a global context, the business must consider the health and safety risks in different countries where they operate and take thereby the steps to ensure safety of their employees and customers. With respect to ethical factors such as corporate social responsibility, human rights, and ethical business In summary, environmental analysis in a global context involves considering a wide range of factors that can impact a business operation by conducting a comprehensive analysis of these factors and also to identify risk and opportunities to develop appropriate strategies to manage effectively. These are the steps in the environmental analysis process that we have already discussed: the factor identification, factor selection, variable analysis, and strategic positioning. This also we have discussed the macro environmental factor analysis, the global strategic alternatives, that is the multi-domestic factors relates to focus on the creating multiple country-specific brands instead of one global brands. With respect to the global approach of diversification, product and market development, with respect to the transnational approach, the business with centralized operations based in one country but additional overseas operations and assets. Entering the global markets by various ways: by exporting, by licensing, by joint venture, and direct investment. With respect to the EPRG framework, that is ethnocentric, the places natives of home country and key positions at home and abroad. If we see the polycentric approach, it relates to having many centers of authority for control. If you see the regio-centric approach, internationalization of the focus on regional orientation. By geocentric approach, to global pricing, that is set prices to maximize the profits in each national market as per the market conditions. If you see the global supply chain competitiveness, it includes the logistic capabilities, highly coordinated international flow of goods and payment information, producing and selling in many nations at right place and service levels. Then rationalization of the global operations, it includes optimizing the global supply chain operations for competitiveness. The smart supply chain planning. And in conclusion, we see the business environment consists of different factors at different levels. That is the internal level, external, both micro and macro level, selecting the strategic alternatives for sustaining the international markets, level of investment and risk-taking capacity. Any of the modes can be opted for entering foreign market. And finally, an approach for formulation and implementation of the global business strategy. Thank you for your passionate listening.